So hey guys, today I have a special guest with us, an old friend. Knew her a very long time, perhaps too long. Oh,
Perhaps.
uh, so just to give you, and you can talk about yourself, but just to give her a brief introduction, if that's possible, because there's so much to talk about. Um, she's a musician, singer, an excellent singer who got a standing ovation at the legendary Apollo Theater when she was 18,
Is 21,
21. Okay. I was there. So,
which of course was only 2 years ago, obviously.
yeah, of course.
Say, oh yeah. All right, y'all. Our first contestant, give it up for Tyra Juliette.
Looking out on the morning rain, I feel so inspired. You make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel like a natural
We also made it to Hollywood in the American Idol.
And you're Tyra Juliette?
That is correct. And you're Paula Abdul.
That would be me.
Wow, wow.
That was good. What are you going to do for us today?
Well, I'm going to sing in the still of the night.
Okay.
Okay. In the still of the night, I held you tight. Oh, I love you so. Promise I'll never let you go in the still of the night.
Thank you.
You're
Great.
welcome.
Beautiful voice.
Nice, wow.
I try.
Real nice tone to it.
Thank
Nice
you.
control, very good,
for you.
good.
Congratulations.
Welcome to Hollywood.
She also made it into He Who Should Not Be Named, the Making the Band. That was yeah. Moving on from that, she also had a very successful career as a singer and a backup singer, and she sang with the likes of Keith Urban, Kid Rock, Puddle of Mud, to name a few. So, this is Tyra Juliette. And while we're on the subject of music, do you have a favorite music moment?
Oh gosh. Well,
I'm sure that there's many.
there are definitely many. I'm laughing because this feels so far removed, right? This was my whole life, as you know me, was a singer. But now as a mother of a 6-year-old who never lets me sing, yeah, this seems like a distant past. I would say my favorite moment was definitely getting on the Demi Lovato tour. That was one of the biggest tour. That was my dream come true moment. That was the moment where I was like, okay, all the hard work, all the dedication, it really kind of propelled me to that spot where I wanted to be. I felt really, really proud every single day of that tour. So it was really, really a dream come true.
Awesome. And we were also in a band together. She was the lead singer. I was the bassist and the songwriter producer. So that was some fun years.
It was a really good time.
Yeah. So yeah, Tyra has since evolved into a new identity as a best-selling author.
Well, I wrote a book and it's going over very well. So yeah, it's been great. As I mentioned, I had a daughter and it just kind of singing it as much as it's a part of my heart, it kind of took a back seat to being a mother. And then my passion to empower her to be at her highest self and just to trust herself and just to give her all those tools kind of took front seat. So I started creating stories, decided to publish one that she really that really resonated with her. And yeah, it's going very well, fortunately.
We're gonna get into, the why and like what put you on that path. But just briefly, could you tell us like what happened? Like, did it get in some TikTok videos? Did it get an accolade from Amazon?
Yes. The Sky is Red ended up becoming the best-selling book for peer pressure and philosophy books on Amazon this past April. Yeah, it's really, 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 really humbling, just to kind of have a vision where you want to help children, and then to get the reception from parents that it is helping, and then to see that little orange bestseller status has been really a dream come true as well.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. So the subject of the book is gaslighting, which is a very, very, very great topic, which is why it struck a chord with so many people. But we're also in the age of, people self-diagnosing and throwing around terms like narcissist and using all these terms. To you, first, as the author of this book, how do you define gaslighting, and what inspired you to write this children's book about such a, complex topic?
Yeah, good question. So gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse that's very subtle but very detrimental to your health, because it causes you to kind of doubt your own reality. It causes confusion. Really clear example is, you're looking at a text on a phone, you're reading the text, and someone's telling you, I never sent that text. I never sent this, so it's like where you could clearly see something with your own eyes, but your self-confidence and self-trust gets chipped down so much when someone is gaslighting you, and especially because it's so subtle. So you can't, it's not something that you could easily stop in time. So yeah, by the time you recognize that happened, you're a portion of your healthy self. So as a singer my whole life, I remember how I was when I was in my most confident state. I was able to take over the world, right? I was able to get all these tours. I was able to do all these things. And when I was kind of doubting myself, right, or having like that lack of trust within myself, I wasn't able to accomplish any of those things, although I was the same person. I went through a lot.
That lack of trust, did that come from, where do you think that came from?
Yeah. Well, it just, um, in childhood, right, we all have our experiences and our traumatic experience, and as much as your parents can try, sometimes inadvertently, things happen because of their past trauma. So just kind of dealt with a lot of things in my childhood, and then ended up getting into relationships um, where it wasn't a very healthy dynamic. And because of that lack of trust within myself, I stayed. I ignored red flags. I blamed myself. I made excuses for those red flags. And, as time went on, I realized, hey, my confident self is disappearing. So being in entertainment as well, and visiting schools during the course of my career, and visiting a lot of children, it became something that was really important to me to help empower kids so they wouldn't go through things like that where they would doubt themselves. Yeah.
That kind of perfectly rolls into my next question, which was, why this age group, and why do you think it was important for kids to learn this lesson at a young age, and what made you inspired to write this topic as a children's book?
Yeah. Great question as well. So children that trust themselves grow into adults that trust themselves. When you grow up not having strong boundaries, not having self-confidence, always doubting yourself, as you grow up, you're basically practicing that mindset, right? So if you don't have that internal strength, it's not like all of a sudden you're going to be a grown-up and then just have it. You're going to just be an older version of your childhood self. So it's really important to empower children to learn how to trust themselves. I mean, the world is crazy right now, right? With social media, with just everything going on, it's never been more important for kids to be able to listen to themselves, trust their gut, trust their, to be able to really like check in.
Yeah.
Instead of just blindly following, or, just giving up everything they know just because somebody tells you to. It's a thin line, right, when you're dealing with children, because you don't want to teach them not to respect authority. You definitely want them to, but you also want to say, hey, you know what? It's okay for you to check in with yourself. It's okay. You know how you feel. You don't have to throw every fact out the window just because somebody who might have ulterior motives is pressuring you to do so. So it's really important for kids to have that strength.
Why I felt this book was very impactful. I mean, for very, very, very personal reasons, and you can explain what was your personal motivation. why I felt the book was very important, impactful, because it can be applied to so many different situations. For one, kind of what, my channel does. It challenges narratives. Sometimes, the media, a popular politician, a popular influencer could be saying things that are not truthful. And you have to use your discernment to say, hey, if this is not true, and, using your own mind, using your own research and facts, sometimes people have to stand firm in their truth, when they're being pressured and gaslit to believe other things. And that's why when the first time I read the book, I said, you know what, this is really a great topic. And it's really, even more great that it's pitched to kids. What would you say? Because I know what my angle is and how people can apply it to their lives. And it can help young people, stay firm and know what's out there is everything that you're told isn't true. What is your personal motivation for this book?
To explore how this book empowers young readers to rely on their inner strength, I welcome author Tyra Juliette Schwartz. Tyra, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course, of course. So let's talk about what your inspiration was behind The Sky is Red.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the mother of a 5-year-old, and I was looking for creative ways to talk with her about the importance of self-trust, as I truly believe that self-trust is
the
a
cutest book.
superpower.
It's called The Sky is Red, and it's by Tyra Schwartz. And Tyra, thank you so much for sending this to me. I just read this to my daughter, and it was the absolute cutest book ever about such a meaningful and serious topic. This little one right here with all those teeth. And I'm posting this because no teeth. So many.
Hey, so that was my friend, longtime friend Tyra. Very proud of her book. You can catch the rest of that podcast conversation on my Patreon. Once again, I'm inviting people to join the Patreon, whatever you can do, dollar, whatever, anything would be greatly appreciated, because we got to incentivize, doing this. And like I said in previous videos, I'm going to continue to put exclusive content in the days, months ahead. I'm going to be putting, some exclusive content on the Patreon. But you can definitely keep coming back here and on the main channel eventually when I get everything set up in the websites and everything healthy again. I wouldn't be posting on the main channel, but definitely keep coming back. I'll be here. We talked. Whether she realized it or not, she doesn't like to get too political, so I'm respecting that. And I didn't want to dive into too much controversy with her, so my commentary here has nothing to do with her. But the subject of her book, yes, it definitely struck a chord with me. She did a very good job, pitching a complex subject to kids. It's an excellent book for that. I'll tell you where to check it out. I think on Amazon you can find The Sky is Red by Tyra Juliette Schwartz. But the content, the topic of gaslighting is hugely important, and for many reasons. We all deal with it. And the people that gravitated to her book were a lot of psychologists who were very impressed and interested in the content of, what she wrote, because it taught kids about gaslighting and trusting themselves. And they came at it. Most of the people that she showed me on TikTok that were sharing the book, there was a lot of people sharing the book, lots and lots of views, very impressive. But they were talking about it from the perspective of gaslighting in relationships. Sometimes people have girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, wives who gaslight them because they're narcissists or whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's a parent dealing with co-parents. Sometimes it's one parent gaslighting. And so that's usually the context, dealing with relationships or family dynamics, dealing with a lot of gaslighting, someone, whoever it is, gaslighting a child or a significant other, making them believe something that's not true, or insisting that what they believe is not true, and just constant, like, blowing off what they say. And it's a psychological trauma, you know. But, why that book strikes a chord, that topic of that book strikes a chord with many people because, from my perspective, there's lots of gaslighting that were done to us. One that I can think of was, during the pandemic. We are being gaslit by mainstream media, and we are being gaslit by many people who were presented as the professionals, telling us things that many people in their heart and in their gut believed were not true. But we were being told the sky is red, uh, because, very powerful, uh, very powerful entities were insisting on something for their own purposes, in their own agenda, in their own gain. And, I don't know how free I am to talk about that now. I think things have changed, but you had lots of people who were gaslighting other people, and brainwashed family members were terrible during the pandemic, bullying other family members. You had lots of people who worked in the medical field who they didn't really know themselves about a lot of the things that were being said, but because they had degrees and worked in certain fields, they were arrogant and they were bullying other family members. And I remember it all. We were dealing with a lot of bullying, and the truth was, these people were definitely well-intentioned and meant well and believed that they were correct, but turned out they weren't. They were a part of the impressionable masses that believed and fell victim to the propaganda and gaslighting from entities that were lying for their own nefarious agendas in the guise of our good. And, we had to deal with that. And to this day, they have egg on their faces, all of them, but they're never going to come back around. They'll never apologize to the family members that were always right. The normie population will always be wrong, and always, in groups and masses, never see themselves for who and what they were. But whatever, there's that. There's the, a lot of what I do on my channel has to do with that kind of subject matter. For example, my defense of Mr. Cosby, one issue of many in which the media is telling you everybody one thing, and everybody's like, oh my God, of course this man did this, and this, and they'll bully you and they'll tell you you don't know what you're talking about, when the sad truth is, there's less than 1% of the population that ever bothered to even read anything, to look at a court case, to actually see the massive amount of inconsistencies, inconsistent statements, things that didn't add up, that usually is indicative of people lying. His accusers are just lying through their teeth, like all of them. And because, we have a population of people who are extremely lazy and don't bother to read or research. They just trust, the idiot box and the mainstream media, pundits, gaslighting and lying. And, you have to be that one person to, hold your position, despite the abuse from people who are just unenlightened, weak, group thinking type of people who just think with the herd, never think critically, never use common sense, logic, reason, never challenge the mainstream narratives, just believe with the mindless herd. And you have to stand your ground on that issue. There's so many issues that are pumped out that 1 to 3% of the population has the resolve and the sense to, withstand the bullying from the masses that just think with the herd and think with what they're programmed to believe. And, I can rattle off issue after issue after issue where, holding firm to your instinct, there's a lot of people who are, well, it's not a lot of people, but there are people who are sound of mind and they know how to critically think, and they know that we're weakened since the day we're born and we enter a school system. There's many books, I didn't bring them in this room with me, that show you how the education system that we live in doesn't prepare us for critical thought, because they don't want people who are going to think critically and be intelligent and challenge the system. They want people who are dense. The education system is based mainly on memory retention, what you can remember. We're going to tell you the facts and the truth, and you got to spit back what it is, and then you get an A on the test. We're not telling you how to think. We're not telling you to challenge things, and if we did land on the move, and we're not telling you to challenge anything. We're telling you what the truth is, what you are to believe, because the Rockefellerian way was to have the majority of people not only smart enough to work for big corporations. We don't want a smart population that knows how to challenge mainstream narratives, that knows how to think critically, that knows how to understand complex issues, and the deep dive and critically think, because you're going to have a nation of people who are awake and cannot be controlled. That's not going to do. So they dumb us down and maintain a nation of sheep that can't think and that will bully the people who do. And so for me personally, my friend wrote a book that I don't know if she knows, I think she does know by now, that, it resonated for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. And again, this commentary has nothing to do with her, but the subject of what she wrote about was really great. And I commend her for it. And it's a great topic. And I will continue to talk about that, on other platforms and in other videos, because it was that, good a topic that she chose and a great book she wrote. And from the book, I'm going to read 2 important lines from that book that I found to be a good closing. And it reads, "A real superhero would never use their powers to convince anyone of things that were not true, and instead would encourage people to believe in themselves and trust themselves." And the last page, the little boy, the one that trusted himself so much that he stood up for himself and held on to what he believed, no matter what others thought. You, little boy, are a real superhero. So definitely check my friend's book out. Sky is Red on Amazon. Once again, check out the whole podcast on the Patreon. That's all for now. See you in the next one, guys. Take care.